Hello everybody, it's Refresh, and I'm here to open some packs and build a seal deck for Core Set 2020. So let's get started. Alright, we have an Unholy Indenture, Inspiring Captain, Bone Splinters, Audacious Thief, Boreal Elemental, Wolfkin Bond, Frostlinks, Leafkin Druid, Reckless Airstrike, Convolute, Fencing Ace, Retributive Wand, Brineborn Cutthroat, Repeated Reverberation, Plains, and a Golem token. Now we have a Mind Rot, Battalion Foot Soldier, Tectonic Rift, Blood Burglar, Unsummon, Greenwood Sentinel, Marauder's Axe, Thicket Crasher, Destructive Digger, Convolute, Vampire of the Dire Moon, Meteor Golem, Aethergust, Cavalier of Night, Scoured Baron, and a Soldier token. Now we have a Lavakin Brawler, Moment of Heroism, Bone to Ash, Reckless Airstrike, Brightwood Tracker, Epicure of Blood, Boneclad Necromancer, Maniacal Rage, Boreal Elemental, Rabid Bite, Rapacious Dragon, Goblin Ringleader, Scuttlemutt, Temple of Silence, Mountain and Wolf. Now we have an Angelic Gift, Fortress Crab, Goblin Bird Grabber, Blade Brand, Natural End, Gorging Vulture, Growth Cycle, Shock, Stone Golem, Silverback Shaman, Loaming Shaman, Rapacious Dragon, Manifold Key, Leyline of the Void, Thornwood Falls, and a Soldier token. Then we have a Convolute, a Goblin Smuggler, Daybreak Chaplain, Metropolis Sprite, Mammoth Spider, Soul Salvage, Thicket Crasher, Blood Burglar, Prismite, Pacifism, God's Willing, Vampire of the Dire Moon, Overgrowth Elemental, Nightpack Ambusher, a Swamp and a Wolf. Finally we have a Goblin Bird Grabber, Aerial Assault, Convolute, Brightwood Tracker, Audacious Thief, Battalion Foot Soldier, Winged Words, Unholy Indenture, Griffin Sentinel, Agonizing Siphon, Gravedigger, Retributive Wand, Blood-Soaked Altar, Kethis the Hidden Hand, Plains, and a Golem token. Now that we've opened everything up, let's take a look at the relative power levels of each of our colors. We didn't open up any multicolor cards here, except for Kethis the Hidden Hand, who is definitely not going to get played here, but we do have some lands that we can use to splash into other colors possibly. So let's take a look at white. Griffin Sentinel is just okay. Battalion Foot Soldier can be good if I have enough of them. I have 2 of them, I believe. So in that sense, if you play one, you get to draw another card, and that's not the worst thing in the world. Aerial Assault is an okay removal spell, not a great one, because it's sorcery speed and your opponent's creature has to be tapped, so it's definitely low on the list of removal spells. God's Willing is a good protection spell, Pacifism is a good removal spell, Daybreak Chaplain can be good in the right deck, but I don't believe that that deck is here. Angelic Gift is okay, because at least it draws a card, but it has the potential to be blown out, so this is only good if you really need that flying for some reason. Moment of Heroism is a combat trick, sometimes you want them. Fencing Ace is good if you can get it strong, but it looks like we only have 1 Marauder's Axe for that purpose, so I'm not really keen on it right now, although even as a 2/2 that has double strike, it's not the worst thing in the world. And we have an Inspiring Captain, which is an aggressive pumper. So far, white doesn't look that great. The numbers are really shallow here, and I think the best cards that we have are God's Willing and Pacifism. Maybe the Battalion Foot Soldiers, because I happen to open 2 of them, but I think I would only splash into white, maybe off the Temple of Silence and Scoured Barrens for maybe the Pacifism. Now let's look at blue. We got Winged Words, which is okay if you have some flyers. Convolute, which I don't really like. Metropolis Sprite, which can be okay as a flyer. We have another Convolute. Fortress Crab is a bit on the defensive side. I like Boreal Elemental pretty decently. It's a way to win the game at the end. Bone to Ash is a bit on the expensive side, and the double blues make it hard to want to keep up, but if you have a very reactive deck, it's not bad. Aether Gust, I think, is sideboard only. You only put this in your deck if you know you're up against a green or a red deck. And so we'll put that back there. Another Convolute. Unsummon is a decent tempo card. Brineborn Cutthroat is a pretty good creature, especially if you're holding up mana and playing things on your opponent's turn. Frostlinks can be decent in the right deck. And we have another Boreal Elemental. So blue seems okay. This is not the highest quality color here. We do have some flyers as finishers, and if we have a lot of instant speed interaction, the Brineborn Cutthroat can be pretty good on my opponent's turn, but it doesn't look like it's a color that I'm definitely looking to play here. Now let's take a look at black. Black has some options here. The Blood-Soaked Altar is a means of creating 5/5s, turning your weaker creatures into 5/5. So if I have some sort of recursion, then this becomes decent as a late game finisher. Gravedigger is one of those ways of getting recursion or value out of your graveyard, getting your stronger creatures back, so I like Gravedigger a lot. It's a higher quality card than Blood-Soaked Altar for sure. Agonizing Siphon is not the best removal spell in the world, but it is a removal spell, and so I'm not going to count it out here. Unholy Indenture is a card that could counter with Blood-Soaked Altar in the sense that the card that you sacrifice will come back stronger, but it's not a highly desirable card here. Audacious Thief is pretty good. I do like having those because they can draw you at least a card, sometimes more if you can get the right aura or combination creature with it. Vampire of the Dire Moon is a great blocker and can be a decent card in a lot of situations. I think Blood Burglar can be good in the right deck as well, and perhaps this is that deck. Soul Savage is Black's way of getting card draw, drawing dead creatures back from your graveyard to your hand, and so sometimes you might want to play that. Leyline of the Void is very much not going to be played in Limited, so we'll put that aside. Gorging Vulture is decent. It's flying, and it does work with graveyard synergies, which I don't know if this deck specifically has it, but perhaps there are cards that will want the Gorging Vulture. Bladebrand is an okay trick. It draws a card off of itself, and it can have any one of your creatures trade for another creature, so I think it's okay. I might play that. Bodeclad Necromancer is one of those cards that benefits if you have something in the graveyard, and we have ways of getting things into the graveyard, so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's a bit on the expensive side unless you can do that though. Epicure of Blood works really well with our lifelink creatures, so that's our Gorging Vulture, our Vampire of the Dire Moon, the Blood Burglar, and it could certainly make the deck if we have enough late game options here. Cavalier of Night is pretty rad. You can sacrifice one of your creatures to destroy any target creature your opponent controls, and then when it dies, you can return another creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's like double. It's not quite value on the first half, but it's definitely value on the second half, so I like it a lot. And then we have another Burglar. Mind Rot, I don't think I'd play, but maybe the game might be slow enough for that. We have another Audacious Thief, which I like again. Bone Splinters is not the best removal in the world, but it is removal, and so it's something to consider playing. And then that is our black. I think our black is very strong, and I'm pretty certain that it is a color that we play. So we'll keep this on the front here. Let's look at red. With red, we have the Goblin Bird Grabber, which is a decent aggressive card if you have other flyers. The Smuggler, which works really well with when you want to get creatures in, like the Audacious Thieves that I have there. Rapacious Dragon is pretty good as well. I like Shock, it's a removal spell. The Goblin Bird Grabber, I don't think that Goblin Ringleader is what we want, but we do have another Rapacious Dragon. Again, I do like those. And Maniacal Rage is not really what we're after here, so let's put that in the back. Reckless Airstrike is purely for sideboard. Lavakin Brawler can be good if you have a lot of elementals, and that's something we should pay attention to. We'll put it in the back here, but we might elevate it if it turns out to be pretty good. Destructive Digger is just an okay card. I guess towards the late game it can draw you cards, but this is more filler than anything else. Tectonic Rift is, if you're a very aggressive deck, you might want it to cause your opponent's creatures not to block, but this is very limited in use. And then we have Repeated Reverberation, which is also not that good as a rare for limited, so we'll put that in the back here. And then we have another Reckless Airstrike. And red looks okay. We have the Rapacious Dragons and the Goblin Smuggler, and I think these 4 cards are pretty good. And then the quality kind of falls off pretty steeply from there. So not necessarily going to play that either. Let's take a look at green now. We have a Brightwood Tracker, which is okay, I guess. In the late game, it can draw you cards, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Nightpack Ambusher is fantastic. I think it is a bomb and it's worth playing. We have the Overgrowth Elemental, which works really well with other elementals, but even without other elementals, it's okay as a 3-mana 3/2. Ticket Crasher is okay. It's just a big beater. Sometimes you need those. Mammoth Spider, a defensive beater. Loaming Shaman can put cards from your graveyard back into your library in case you need that, and you can use it to also hurt your opponent. It's a bit more of a sideboard card, but it might be something that we want in case we mill something that we want to get back, and so something to consider. Silverback Shaman is pretty good in terms of value, and it is a very strong beater. Growth Cycle is an okay combat trick, something that I might play. Natural End is strictly sideboard. Rabid Bite is removal, I like it. Brightwood Tracker is okay, I guess, as I mentioned before. Nothing high pick. Thicket Crasher is a little better, I think, but not great. The 2/2 with Vigilance is not that great. I might play it if I needed to. Leafkin Druid is a ramp spell, and I do like ramp spells, especially on a decent body like that. Wolfkin Bond is okay. I guess it gets a bit of value in terms of giving you a 2/2 creature on top of powering up one of your creatures, but it is prone to getting removed. So I'm not going to value that highly, but it might be played. Alright, green looks okay. I think green and black are probably my main colors here. And I also have some artifacts. I don't really like Retributive Wand. You need a way to sacrifice the wand, and I don't think I have any artifact sacrifice outlets. And so I don't think that this is what we're looking for here. Otherwise it spends 3 mana to do 1 damage, which isn't the best thing in the world. Prismite, I guess if you need to fix colors. This is a way to get in your Audacious Thieves, and so that might be something that we want. We have a 5 mana 4/4, which is not really what we're looking for. This can mess with color stuff, but I think it's something that you put into the game later. This Meteor Golem, I do like one of. I think it would be good in a deck. This is good in an aggressive deck, but we're not playing one. And then we have another Retributive Wand. So we're only really looking at Manifold Key and Meteor Golem. And I guess if we really need it, we can play the Stone Golem. If we're playing these two colors, we could splash with this to play Kethis as a 3 mana 3/4, but I don't think he's good enough. In limited, at least. Alright, and we could splash for the pacifism, I guess. So I think we're looking at black and green. Let's go ahead and lay out the colors here. Alright, so this is everything that I might play, and it's a lot. It's already pretty healthy, and I think I just need to make some cuts and make this work. So I think early on, I think we can cut the Brightwood Trackers. I think all of our other creatures are slightly better than the Tracker, and it's very expensive for its secondary purpose. We'll just cut those. We need to cut some 5s here, and so I think the Mammoth can go. And everything else here has some pretty good value, so I'm going to think about the rest there. In terms of our non-creature spells, I think Wolfkin Bond isn't what we're looking for. I don't see a lot of way to get value in terms of the Blood-Soaked Altar. I suppose in the late game we can sacrifice these lower level creatures, but I think I want some sort of better recursion for this to be good, and so I'm going to cut this, but it could make its way back into the deck if I figure out some way of making it more useful. I think we cut the Greenwood Sentinel, just because it's weaker. We have 19 creatures and 8 spells, so we just need to make 2 more cuts and we should be good to go. I think our creatures are pretty valuable, and so I think Soul Savage is probably better than Mind Rot here. So we don't have a lot of elementals, we have 3 other elementals, so the Overgrowth Elemental isn't that good, but I think it might be just good enough to still stick around in the deck. And maybe it's the Loaming Shaman that'll go, or I could just get rid of the Soul Salvage, and I think it's the Loaming Shaman in this particular case. Its effect is pretty weak. Now we just have to figure out the lands here, and we'll be ready to go. We have 18 black mana symbols and 9 green mana symbols, so we want a lot more swamps than forests, but we don't want to have too few forests because we have some double greens there. So I think going 10 and 7 should be sufficient. Here's 10 swamps, 7 forests, and that is the deck. Okay, so I counted my cards and I am 2 cards too heavy here, so I'm going to remove a couple cards here. I'm going to remove the Boneclad Necromancer, since it's a more expensive spell and I don't want to have too many of those. And then I will also remove the Blade brand, and that's where we will leave the deck. Otherwise, it should be ready to go. Let me know what you think about this sealed deck. Would you have gone a different way with the cards that I've opened? Share those thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of these videos, hit subscribe. Next time I'll be back with another sealed deck build for course of 2020. Until then, this was Refresh, and thanks for watching.